Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Rotary Club of York, the 26th largest Rotary Club in the world, and a club dedicated to imagining and living out the Rotary motto of service above self. I am Glenn Miller, for one more week, your president. On this National Make Music Day, our opening song, God Bless America, will be introduced first by Kelly Gibson and then led by Steve Feldman, who will also lead the Pledge of Allegiance. Our invocation will be led by past President Jackie Summers, who we pray is having a wonderful birthday today. And our visitors and visiting Rotarians will be introduced by Dan May. Please take a moment to silence your electronic devices.
Happy Make Music Day, everyone. Today is about making music, all kinds of music. It's celebrated all over the world. It started in France over 30 years ago, and there's really only two rules. Everything needs to be free and accessible, and everyone everywhere of every ability can make music. So all day on your tables, you'll see a fun grouping of events into tonight. Thank you, Lauren Crow, fellow Rotarian, for the idea of doing pub sings. That's right, you get to sing along with the musicians at 3 locations. So bring out your families when you can and enjoy this day. And we'll now have York County as an International Make Music Day location. This is our 2nd year, and we're only growing from here. So every June 21, come out and make music. And let's make some music together now with Steve. Thank you.
Please join me. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, hello. I'm very happy to share this special day with past President Dave Meckley, who is celebrating his birthday as well. And we've been making music for years on this day. Please join me in a word of prayer. Most gracious God, we give you thanks for the summer solstice, this first day of summer and longest day of the year. We're grateful to gather together in fellowship and share in the abundance you provide. We pray for your guidance in recognizing the possibilities of all that can be accomplished when we work together in unity and trust. We thank you for the everlasting gift of hope and ask that you open our eyes to the work we're called to do to benefit those we're led to serve. Guide us in meeting the needs of the most vulnerable and help us to always place service above self. Please bless our speaker and the work of his company in its commitment to improving the health and wellness of its members and for their continued focus on community engagement and connection. We give you thanks for this food, that it may nourish and strengthen us, and thank you too for the people who have prepared and served it. We are grateful for your presence with us today and always. Into your everlasting wisdom, we place our path and our direction. Amen.
I am pleased to have the honor of introducing our guests for today's meeting. When I call your name, please stand and remain standing until President Glenn has welcomed you. Kevin Traster, guest of Tony Schweitzer. Mark Ilfelder, guest of Ray Rosen. Rita Marie Trippett, guest of President Glenn Miller. Jeff Nicholson, guest of Victoria Diamond. Jim Fowler, guest of Sean Skehan. Anthony Wise, guest of Dick Brown. And Pamela Gunter Smith, guest of J.L. Smith.
Friends, we are delighted to have you with us here today. I know that you will enjoy our program, and I trust that you have already been enjoying the conversation with the lively and diverse community leaders that surround you at these tables. I hope that you will come back to visit us many times in the future and perhaps even consider joining our ranks. Rotarians, please help me welcome our visitors. You may be seated. Several announcements for the good of the order. This past Saturday, the Youth Development Committee sponsored a field trip for boys in the Advantage Program, a not-for-profit youth mentorship program based here in York, to a ropes course at Terrapin Adventures in Savage, Maryland. I'm already tired just thinking about that. 43 boys enjoyed this team building experience along with their chaperones. They were joined by Rotarians J.T. Hand, Dick Brown, Ken Cooper, Jake Miller, and Brian Grimm. Our thanks to them for volunteering their time and their energy with this important work with these kids. I want to also especially thank Ashley Etzweiler, who chairs the Youth Development Committee, for coordinating the trip as well as attending. So many, many thanks to all of you for a great job. Well done. Let's give them a hand. The IDEA committee will meet on June the 20th at 8 a.m. via Zoom. The membership committee will meet on the 26th also at 4 p.m. at Fox 43 via Zoom. And the Communications Committee will meet on June 27th at 3:30 in the afternoon at the Top Warner home. As a reminder, while we do have a meeting next week, my final week with you, due to the holiday, there will be no club meeting on July the 5th. Please make note of that. The Membership Committee wishes Paul Lauer, is Paul here today? Phil, I'm sorry, Phil Lauer. Why did I say Paul? Is Phil here today? Neither Paul nor Phil are here today. All right. Well, we wish Phil Lauer a happy 40th anniversary as a member of the Rotary Club of York. So maybe he's with us electronically, so let's give him a hand just in case. And now, Brian Tate, the president of the Charitable Endowment Fund of our club, has a presentation for us, followed immediately by an announcement. Brian.
Thank you, President Glenn. Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. The Rotary Charitable Endowment Fund was created in 1991 as the nonprofit charitable sister to Rotary Club of York. It was governed by the same board as RCY and was a vehicle for our club to be able to accept charitable contributions and offer a tax benefit to donors. As the number and size of gifts grew and an investment committee was created to endow the resources, the RCY board determined the need to reconstitute the Charitable Endowment Fund from a sidebar to a full-fledged nonprofit with its own board made up of club leadership and members of our club with expertise in grant making. That change occurred in 2016 with an update to the organization's bylaws, with the CEF being led first by Ann Druck, then Di Hershey, and currently by yours truly. And after this June 30, it will be led by Mac Brohart. The CEF board oversees 5 of our Rotary committees, including investment, fundraising, legacy, grants, and scholarship. While operating these committees in our work, we also undertook great strides to ensure successful nonprofit management. We created a legacy society to encourage member planned giving and legacy giving, approved a gift acceptance policy so that the board and future boards work within a structured environment, approved a spending policy for our endowed funds, and a grant-making policy for the money raised by our events, Love for Community and Give Local York. We created fund agreement templates for the new endowed funds that are being created. We organized our grant making and marketed our York Rotary grants. We reevaluated our student education program and brought on a third-party administrator to market and evaluate our York Rotary scholarships. We petitioned the Orphans Court to change the Whiteley student loan to a new scholarship program. And most recently, we've rebranded ourselves and are announcing our new name today. We are York Rotary Foundation. This move will accomplish several goals. It will allow our club to better promote Rotary giving to our membership. We'll advance giving to the International Rotary Foundation to do the work around the globe, as well as to the York Rotary Foundation to do work here at home. Our new name better reflects what we are, a local foundation providing resources to support the goals of our club in this community. And it's easier to say and remember, York Rotary Foundation. Who can even remember the old name? I can't, it's out of my head already. But check out our new branding. This great new logo complements of the York Rotary Foundation Task Force and graphic designer Gabriel Dunmeyer. We were totally wowed by Gabe's concept after working with us on different moods and themes. The logo is fresh and new, yet it also promotes the two concepts that are most important to us. So the rose is an iconic symbol of the city of York. The logo intertwines and overlaps many colorful roses, symbolizing the interaction and effect that the city of York has with each other. And this standalone icon takes the shape of the Rotary wheel, while the main logo builds the York Rotary Foundation directly into the community, to the community's rosebush. So beginning today, we launched the York Rotary Foundation, and we'll be moving forward on updating our materials and rolling out this brand in a broad way. Now, I'd like to call on President Glenn and Rotary Rita Marie Tippett and Dr. GS and JL Smith. The York Rotary Foundation is proud to announce the recipient of the York Rotary Whiteley Scholarship. So after conversion of the former student loan program, the York Rotary Foundation Board created a task force to discuss goals, evaluate concepts, and determine the greatest use of these scholarship dollars. And after a club program earlier this year by Rita Marie, the task force began evaluating the York College Community Opportunity Scholarship Program. The board determined that the ability to partner with York College on a program that provides 4 years of college preparation to York City students and then rewards them with 4 years of tuition-free education, emotional support, and professional guidance. This was the program for us. So today, and please come on up. So today, we award the first check of many to the York College Community Opportunity Scholarship Program to support a York Rotary Scholar this fall and through their graduation. And then we'll support the next York Rotary Scholar, and so on, and so on, and so on. So I present this big check to York College and the York College Community Opportunity Scholarship Program, written today for this year for $15,800 from the Whiteley Fund of the York Rotary Foundation. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Would you like to say a brief something?
I'm 4'11" again. I haven't grown since the last presentation. I would like to thank the York Rotary Foundation for this generous donation. This is super huge for our program and for our scholar. We are excited to select our first scholar for the fall and really talk about service and what it means as far as the background and the moral and the history of the Rotary Club. So that's huge for us. And we do thank you from the bottom of our hearts because we have amazing potential for our scholars here in York City and in the future of York. Right now, my head is on 1,000 because we have 25 scholars right now spending their first 2 nights on campus. So yeah, just pray for me, please, and check up on me on Monday, but it's their first of many, and this will definitely help as well. Thank you so much. And I want to thank Dr. GS and JL for this as well, because our program with their leadership can't happen. So thank you both, and I'll miss you.
And I'm going to invite my boss to say a few words.
Thank you so very much. The White House program is really something that all of us should be very, very proud of. We take annually about 14 young people who are going into York College, all expenses paid, including room and board, and give them just the finest quality education. Those White House students have the highest average GPA and the highest level of retention at the college. They graduate mostly in 4 years, but they do graduate. And then, our hope is that they will stay in the community and be really great citizens. Thank you for your investment in these young people who are wonderful. And it's because of people like Rita who really guides them, becomes their mother, big sister, but helps them navigate what it means to be a York College student. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to the board and to all of you for this. This is also a good opportunity, a good moment for me to acknowledge our friend and our fellow Rotarian J.L. Smith, for whom today is his last meeting among us. J.L. has been nothing short of a model Rotarian, and equally important, he's just a great guy, or as we prefer to say at the college, dude. One of JL's areas of service has been the Youth Exchange Committee, which honored him themselves with a certificate of appreciation at a recent committee meeting. I think Pamela would agree with me that no college president ever had a more involved, committed, helpful partner in their work. That partnership was to our great benefit here at Rotary, and it has been a blessing to have you in this club, my friend. Dude, we will miss you, and we wish you and Pamela all the very best in the next chapter. And now Kelly Gibson is back to make a presentation from the York Rotary Grants Committee, which I assume she will sing for you.
I've already said a few times, anyone can make music, but I can't carry a tune unless it's in a box. So I'm just going to say this. The Rotary Grants Committee is pleased to announce our 2023 grant recipients who were selected by our grant committee members from 30 letters of interest because of their community reach, alignment with our 2 impact areas of peace and social justice and growing local economies, and leveraging many other community collaborations and partnerships. Since this year's Rotary grants needed to be matched, which was new, our $32,000 will be part of an investment of $371,375 into these valuable community programs. Crispus Attucks Employment and Training Center will be able to underwrite the costs of all employment services, training, certification, and supplies for 10 very low-income individuals ages 25 to 54 who are in need of a fulfilling skilled job. The YCEA Bloom Development Week will support the second Minority Enterprise Development Week and allow us to offer expanded programming and a standalone networking event for small, BIPOC, and women-owned business owners. The York City Group Violence Intervention will mentor those involved with gun violence, reducing perception and fear of crime, providing resources to at-risk youth so they can exit a lifestyle of gun violence. My Choice to Change will improve the quality of life for residents in York City that are ex-offenders, families at risk, clients that have substance use disorders and mental health issues through helping with basic needs and workforce development trainings. And Shiloh Baptist Church will host Hope Fest 2023 and the TIP Youth Initiative to bring teens and residents of York City and County together to promote youth awareness, community engagement, diversity, equity, inclusion, and cultural appreciation in a welcoming environment. The Impact Project Youth Initiative component will convene every Saturday for 7 weeks from 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 to provide a safe place and space for teen youth. If you're here, I'd like to ask the members of the Rotary Grants Committee to stand so we can recognize you for the work this year. Anybody here? 1, 2, no? Raise your hand. Okay, let's give them a round of applause. And I want to thank you, fellow Rotarians, for your support of the grants through Give Local York. Your efforts will directly impact the lives of children and residents of York long-term. If you would like to help in this work, please consider joining the Rotary Grants Committee. The work of those grant committee members really is the decision maker in where we put our dollars and for the most impact. And now I'm off to make more music. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Kelly, and thank you to the committee. It is not anything new that we have been supporting in this club, these kind of initiatives, but I must give a special word of thanks to Kelly and the committee for the kind of very thoughtful way that they have gone about this the last couple of years. There's been a very robust process for inviting grant applicants, screening those applicants, and the results you have just seen on the screen, particularly the matching dollars and the additional impact on all of these programs as a result, is really remarkable. And so great thanks to them. And so now, without further ado, Robert Lambert will introduce our speaker and our program for the day.
Good afternoon, esteemed Rotarians, friends, and guests. Joel Hopkins oversees corporate legal matters for Capital BlueCross and provides leadership over the company's governance, regulatory, and governmental activities. Prior to joining Capital BlueCross, he was a managing partner in the Harrisburg offices of Saul, Ewing, Arnstein, and Lair, where he specialized in issues related to insurance industry regulations, litigation, compliance, and governance. He has nearly 30 years of insurance experience. A Chester County native, Joel is a magna cum laude graduate of the Widener University School of Law and an alum of Shippensburg University. Joel and Capital's leadership team continue the legacy of community involvement, which is known for its down-to-earth culture that is customer-centric and personable. Joel and the leadership team holds firm to a commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, both internally at Capital and throughout our communities. They continue to foster an environment of innovation and growth with a real and serious dedication to improving health, increasing costs, increasing access to high quality care, and decreasing costs. I'll make sure I get that right. All extremely challenging endeavors in this day and age. Please join me in welcoming Joel Hopkins.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm sure most of you know that I'm your consolation prize. Our CEO, Todd Shamash, was hoping to be here and to be able to speak. Unfortunately, he had an emergency family matter, so he handed off to me. And I think it's really to my benefit as I was pulling up here. I've never been at this at the club, and I told Robert, I turned around the corner, and I went, wow, this is really nice. So I think I got the better side of the deal there. But Todd does send his regrets. He wishes he could be here. For any of you who haven't met Todd, he's a couple inches shorter than me, but I think the shoes are bigger and they'll be tough to fill. I'll do my best. And thank you, Robert. I really do appreciate the very nice introduction. Robert is a key member of the Capital BlueCross Board of Directors and committees. And probably coming up on maybe 2 years now, Robert. Oh my gosh, 4 years now has been just a major contributor. So we really appreciate that. I can't think of a better place to speak to the community than a Rotary Club event, and particularly one of this size, one of this history. I understand it's the oldest in Pennsylvania. Our world's changed a lot in the past 3 years. People don't connect the way they used to. I know I have my daughters, 27 and 24 years old, constantly have their noses in a device, and we simply do not get the kind of opportunities that it looks like the club enjoys on a regular basis to get together, to meet with business leaders of the community, to meet with members of the community, and to really connect and talk about the issues that are important in the community and to you and your employees. So it's a really unique form, and I'm sure you appreciate that, but never having been a member of a Rotary Club, I think I'm starting to appreciate it this morning a little bit more than I had. So I want to give you a little bit of background about Capital BlueCross. I'm hoping you've heard of us. I'm hoping that some of you are insured with us. You might even have our card in your wallet. We are the only health insurer headquartered in central Pennsylvania. We employ about 2,000 very talented people, most of them living and obviously working in central Pennsylvania, although through COVID and with the growth of remote work, we certainly have some employees who are outside of central Pennsylvania, but the vast majority are here in our community. We've been in this community for more than 80 years. That's kind of the tagline is more than 80 years, but I think if I add it up, it's pushing 90. So we have been around a very long time, and we've been serving the community that we all live in and work in. We are one of what are called 3 blue plans in Pennsylvania. So there's Capital BlueCross, there's Highmark, which is typically a blue shield, and then there's Independence Blue Cross. So Capital operates in the 21 counties you see there in the center, and that's called our service area. Highmark operates throughout the entirety of the state, and then Independence Blue Cross has the 5 counties, the 5 Philadelphia counties you see down there to your right. I'll tie this back later as I'm talking, but for years, Highmark and Independence did not compete in those Philadelphia 5 counties. Independence was the only blue plan that was selling insurance and being a payer in those areas. Well, last year, Highmark decided that it's going to change that. It's going to begin competing in the Philadelphia 5 counties with Independence. So that means Highmark now is not only across the entirety of the state, but Highmark also offers products and is a blue plan in other states as well. And one of the things that really drives home is the competition that exists. And again, something I'll talk about. But the point is, we are really in a very competitive health insurance marketplace. That's amongst the blue plans that I just mentioned, and the non-blue plans, the Aetnas, the CVSs, the Geisingers up north. And that's a good thing. We'll talk a little bit about competition in a minute, but that's a good thing. It's good for consumers. It's good for the community. And for Capital, although we can only offer plans to employer groups that are headquartered in the 21 county service area and individuals who live there, we also service a lot of members outside of that area because, as many of you know, large employers have employees that are living in other areas of the state and perhaps in other states. So we have the opportunity and the pleasure of serving those members as well. Currently, we serve about 2 million members, both inside and outside that 21 county service area. So a very good opportunity to work with the community, individuals on their pursuit of a healthier lifestyle. There is also something called Geo Blue. And so not only do we offer that coverage throughout the state, to our membership throughout the country, we also have a Geo Blue program, and it has risen quite a bit in popularity because people travel and people travel abroad. So the Geo Blue program is a program that covers individuals when they are traveling outside of the country. So I mentioned how competitive this state is, and that's from a healthcare perspective, from a health payer, insurer perspective. But what it really does, and when I mentioned that that's a good thing, is it forces us to differentiate ourselves. We can't just be somebody else who's doing the same thing as, again, one of the other blue plans or one of the other payers, one of the other non-blue players. We have to differentiate ourselves. And the way we do that is by trying to give people peace of mind. And having been, as Robert pointed out, I had been in private practice as a lawyer representing insurance companies for many years. That's the kind of thing I think if I heard somebody say to me, if I was sitting in your chairs from an insurance company perspective, I'd say, really? You deliver people peace of mind? Don't you just get, don't we just pay you huge premiums and then complain about you for the rest of the year until the renewal comes up? But delivering peace of mind is actually more than just a business model. It is more than just, hey, we happen to be in competition with others, so we have to. It is really at the core of what we do in providing, supporting the journey, individual's journey towards healthcare. So how do we do that? We do that by focusing on access to quality healthcare and trying to make it as easy as possible. Somebody had mentioned this, and cost effective as well. Now, look, I am not here to tell you that healthcare or health insurance costs are cheap. They are not. Our costs for healthcare in this country are staggering. The percentage of our GDP that goes towards healthcare is staggering, but it is the reality of the situation we live in. With healthcare providers who are on the cutting edge of technology and also connecting with the community and sharing our vision of addressing the healthcare of the individual. These are costly endeavors, and that's just a fact. And I'm not going to tell you it's not complicated. It is health insurance and providing healthcare is incredibly complicated. Health insurers, I used to say this, health insurers are the second most heavily regulated industry in the country. I've changed that. We moved to first. I used to say banking was the most heavily regulated industry. It's not. Health insurance is the most heavily regulated industry out there. And that means that we are constantly dealing with state, federal governments, governmental entities, and agencies that are looking to make changes. We've all heard of the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare. 2000, I think it was 2010, implemented in 2014. Sweeping changes to how the health insurance and payer industry works. Monumental changes of the likes we had not seen before. But how many of you have heard of the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2020? I see a couple hands. The Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2020 is what it sounds like. It's an appropriations act, federal act, where the federal government spends money. 5,000 pages and sweeping changes of the health insurance industry, the likes of which we had not seen since the Affordable Care Act, and some people would argue even more impactful. So that's in 2020. So we've got the Affordable Care Act, then we had the Consolidated Appropriations Act. It brought about tremendous change. Some things you might hear in your day-to-day: surprise billing, drug cost reporting, price comparison tools, transparency. That was all part of the Consolidated Appropriations Act. And these are incredibly complex laws that we have to navigate, that we have to adjust to. And then we had the American Rescue Plan Act through COVID, the Inflation Reduction Act that came through that, both making significant changes to the way health payers work in this country. And on a state level, we are constantly seeing changes. We constantly have a legislature that is looking to impact the way healthcare providers work, the way healthcare payers work, and sometimes those are good things. For example, Act 1, the first law signed by Governor Shapiro, 2023, some of you may have heard of it, had to do with paying for breast MRIs when a woman has dense breasts, and it made a requirement that as a payer, we were not able to apply cost sharing or deductibles, copays, et cetera. And that sounds like a really good idea. And being from a family with a mother, a mother-in-law, a sister-in-law who have been impacted by breast cancer, you would think, well, you wouldn't see a more staunch advocate than Joel Hopkins for that change. But what the legislators seem to miss is when you tell a payer that you can't apply cost sharing, guess what? That means we pay more and we have to pass it back in the form of premiums and costs. There is nothing free about that. And so the wisdom of that, I'll leave to those elected officials who make those decisions. But the fact of the matter is these changes, every time one of these changes goes into place, it makes the system more complicated, more expensive, and more difficult to navigate. So it clearly takes a lot for us to get the business right. And that is something that we strive for every single day. So what our promise is to go that extra mile for customers and our members by listening and being flexible and adjusting to those sorts of things I have talked about and adjusting to what the members need and what's important to the community. Many of you in this room own or run a business. And as you're aware, you're the ones who select and offer the benefits for your employees. It's our job to make sure that they are as satisfied as possible with those choices that you make, that we deliver on the promise. We try to make it easy to understand. It's not. For any of you who have ever received an explanation of benefits in the mail or electronically, you probably look at it and you go, who writes this stuff? You know, what lawyer spent many, many hours putting this form together? It's difficult because we've got federal and state regulators that are telling us what we have to put in there. And it doesn't always make it easy, but we're trying. We are trying to make sure that your employees, that our members, that our customers understand what it is and how it works. Our greatest focus in the past 2 years has been on customer experience because we know that's what's important to your employees. We know that's what's important to you as individuals, and we know it's really difficult. Society has become so accustomed to the simple, as I said, having something on the app. And I like it too. It's not only for me to lament my kids carrying their phones out in the open every time they wake, or every waking moment, but there's a lot about it that I like that does make life more convenient. And that's what we're trying to do with health insurance. That's a tall order because I said it's not an easy industry, and getting it right is not always going to be something that you snap your fingers and that it gets done. But we do it through things like making telehealth services available. There are some states that are requiring providers to make telehealth services available and payers to pay for that. Pennsylvania isn't one of them yet. But we do that anyway, because we know that's the way we can connect with the customers, we can connect with your employees and the members, and we know it's what they want. So I'm not going to read these things because I'll lose half of you if I did, but our mission, our vision, and our brand promise these are the things we are focused on every day. And it is really to focus on the health and the well-being of the members, our customers, your employees. If we don't get that right, there's no point in us doing what we do. And that's what we're striving to do. So a key to all of that is really knowing our customers and being connected to the members. It's being personal. It's a huge part of Capital's legacy. It's long legacy here in Central Pennsylvania and part of the path forward. Capital, when I came here, I was incredibly impressed with what I heard about Capital's involvement in the community. Since I have been with Capital, I have been more impressed by them actually meeting where the rubber meets the road, actually doing what they said they did. Capital makes incredible investments in the community, sponsors critical causes. It lends leadership, personal capital to local initiatives. I don't want to bore you again too much with the details, but there are a couple of things I was looking at as I was preparing for this that I thought really stood out and typify what I'm trying to drive home, and that is the connection with the community and the individuals. Our most recent United Way campaign raised $588,000. That was more than our goal because our employees recognized the importance of giving back, and they did it. They put their money where their mouth is. Last year, we gave $60,000 in live healthy school grants to 33 school districts in Central Pennsylvania to help fund physical activity and nutrition programs for students. We participate in Commonwealth's Educational Improvement Tax Credit Program. Provides $1.6 million in grants to over 100 nonprofit organizations and schools for innovative programs, scholarships, and the like. And we hosted COVID vaccine clinics where we opened up our spaces and we said to the people, come on in, let's make sure that you are, if you want the shot, you have the opportunity and to be healthy and to essentially take care of yourself. And that's just a sample of the kind of support we offer to the community and that Capital believes is absolutely integral if we are going to put our money where our mouth is, and that is making the community more healthy and connecting with the members. Our employees invest their own time, volunteer a ton of time into the community. I'm extremely proud of that. It's great to watch them give back on an individual basis. We have a number of employee volunteer programs. We try to focus at Capital on an inclusive culture that reflects the community, because we can't serve a community that we do not reflect, that we are not a part of. And we do that by recognizing and embracing diversity within the operations. And the fact of the matter is it makes us a better company. It not only makes us reflective of what's going on in the community, but we perform better when we have that sort of diversity in the company. We have a diversity, equity, and inclusion council that leads those efforts, does a tremendous job of it. We have a number of employee resource groups at Capital, and those are where people from different areas can get together, identify the issues, address the issues that impact them and people like them in the community. We have, for example, Black and Latino employees, members of the LGBTQ community, people who live with disabilities, and one that I'm involved in and I head up that we just started, one for veterans. So we are really trying internally to reflect the community that we serve. And the strength of that culture, it's being recognized. It's being recognized nationally. We have been continually on the best places to work in Pennsylvania list. Forbes magazine, we were named America's best mid-size employers. Newsweek top list for greatest workplace for diversity, greatest workplace for women. And it's nice to get awards, but it's not about getting awards. It's about doing what is right to connect and be a part of the community and foster and advance our ultimate goal of improving the health and wellness of everybody we serve. When we talk about focusing on what matters to the community, our members, our employer groups, and the proposition, the point is that all of this leads to what is the best way for us to make sure our members get the most optimal health care possible. How do we do that? Bless you. Our local connections, our experience, our market knowledge, they allow us to build solutions, allow us to influence care delivery in ways that other Blues can't, that they just simply do not have those connections with the community that we do. So this four-prong approach to healthcare, you can, again, I won't read it. You can see what the headers are. But the point really is, if we do not focus on what matters to the community and what advances those goals I've talked about, we are not doing our job. A big part of what we do is fostering a comprehensive approach to care management that focuses on chronic and complex conditions, real behavioral health solutions, and efficient utilization management. So I mentioned connecting with communities and the individuals who live in them. This is a picture of one of our storefronts. We call them Capital BlueCross Connect. But these are storefronts that we have all the way from up in the Lehigh Valley to, I believe this is the one, yeah, okay, I'm getting the nod from my friends at WellSpan. This is the one that's at the Apple Hill Medical Center on the WellSpan campus. These are storefronts where people can walk in, they can get answers to their questions, they can get a better understanding of how health insurance works, whatever the product might be, and they can make a connection. It is also an opportunity for us to connect with the community. We use these facilities. They are open to nonprofits to come in and just use the facilities for whatever you need. So if you guys want the opportunity to use it, let us know. It is open to the community, but it is a way we can connect and we can have that personal relationship with the people who we serve. Where our members live, work, and play represent a tremendously diverse set of communities, just in that 21 county service area that I talked about. And healthcare has become multidimensional. The access, cost, and quality are the things that require the most attention. But what about meeting the needs when you start thinking bigger than just, hey, somebody needs to go to the doctor and have a visit? But what about the needs of a multi-generational workforce? As employers, you have people who are right out of school and you have people who have been there for 40, 45 years. What about solutions that consider social determinants of health? The fact of the matter is that societal impact on healthcare is significant. And not everybody has the same opportunity and access to the same healthcare. And that is something that that is a gap we have got to close if we are going to improve the health and the well-being of the community. We have created strategically designed wellness programs that are focusing on the individual. It's managing that diversity that really gives us that strength. It allows us to connect to the community and to really try to impact health at its core. We have very positive, productive, and long-standing partnerships with healthcare providers in our service area. And that is an invaluable, absolutely imperative for us to do what we need to do. If we don't have those kind of relationships with the providers where we can put programs in place that your employees accept, that your employees utilize, and that improve your employees' health. And again, we haven't done our job. We understand that it's a balancing act because, as I said, healthcare is incredibly expensive in this country. But having those longstanding relationships with systems like WellSpan and others is what really allows us to work together. Not just Capital BlueCross as a health insurer saying something or a healthcare provider saying something, but working together to find solutions that serve the community. And I think that the longstanding relationships are what allow us to do that. Poor health costs you as employers, you as individuals, it costs this country a tremendous amount of money. $530 billion in lost employee productivity, and that's for 1 year. And when you think about it, that is more than just impacting the individual, right? We all want to be healthy. We all want our family members to be healthy. But as employers, you want a happy and healthy workforce. But when they are not, you lose that sort of productivity. And a huge amount of that can be attributed to the chronic health conditions, things like diabetes, those conditions that really need to be treated and that are driving the cost of care. 6 in 10 Americans live with at least one chronic condition, like diabetes or heart disease. And that's a phenomenal number. And it's not only the leading cause of death and disability, but also a leading driver of the healthcare costs. So we have to focus on that. We've got to focus on treating the entire person, not just the symptoms, not just one aspect, but the entire person. Healthcare costs are projected to rise to an average of over $15,000 per employee per year. That is a tremendous amount of money. And as I said, the US has the highest percentage of its GDP that is goes towards healthcare. The healthcare industry is evolving. It's evolving significantly. Years ago, you had the government, you had the pharmacy companies, you had the plans, you had healthcare providers, and then you had technology. Well, through COVID, it became incredibly fragmented, where smaller portions of that overall system were pulled out, and people have tried to deliver something that we kind of call point solutions, but they said, let me take a small bite of that and see if I can do it better. So it's really created a fragmented industry. But from our perspective, what we have to do is take a total cost of care approach. And that is one where we understand and manage all of the variables that impact the cost to your organizations, the health of your employees. It requires us to look at things like the network design, our clinical programs, our member engagement. When you get that text or something shows up from Capital BlueCross and it's reminding you to get your wellness visit, we need to engage, because I'll admit I'm one of those who I kind of see the text and go, yeah, I'll do that later. Well, I shouldn't do it later. I need to do it now. And that's how we're trying to engage with members. Let them know what's out there, what's available, and help them get the care they need. We're extremely active in addressing legal and regulatory challenges that come. I've got a very good government programs team that works with federal, state legislators, and tries to impact meaningful change. Not just something that makes a good soundbite on the news, and not just passing a law that somebody will react to and say good, but passing laws and making sure regulations are in place that allow healthcare providers and us as a payer to deliver on that promise, make it real, and make sure that we are focused on the individual, not the finances, not the political aspects, the individual and their care. So looking ahead, think what's important to know is this is the region that we operate in. And the region that we are in right now is extremely competitive. And as I said earlier, I think that's a good thing. It's good that there is competition. It's good that there are companies out there who are thinking, working, and trying to find a way to do things better. We have seen consolidation amongst some health plans. Some of you may have heard Geisinger and Kaiser out of California are going to have an acquisition going on there. We've seen it on the provider side. So it's dynamic. And while it's new and it's different, it's not always scary. It creates opportunities for all of us to do a better job. So our customers rely on us to do that. That's what we're going to continue to do. We've been here for a very long time. We're going to continue to be here for a very long time. We're going to adjust to the systems. We're going to adjust to the curveballs that get thrown to us, but the entire time focusing on the most important thing, the health and the wellness of the individual, your employees, and the impact all of that has on the community. So I think at this point I'm done, but I'm going to open it up and see if there are any questions. Anybody wants to? Oh, one or two. Okay. Yes, sir.
You mentioned a couple times the cost of healthcare in the United States. I believe it's about 18% of GDP, whereas the advanced economy average is about 10%. So other, wealthy countries, the peer comparator, that's the OECD average, I believe. What do you attribute to the United States being such an outlier? And what do you think are, more importantly, what do you think are the, top 2 or 3 things that could be done to drive down such a divergence?
I think probably a large driver is the fact that healthcare providers, to be on the cutting edge and provide the types of services, if you think about all of the innovation that comes out of this country, all of the technology that healthcare providers are applying on a day-to-day basis, the machines, the cost of a new MRI machine or whatever it might be. But I do believe that it is largely driven simply by the cost to be innovative and on the cutting edge of moving forward. What can we do about that going forward? I think what we really need to do is we really need to focus on what is the proper level of care for the individual. Does Joel need to be in the big new MRI machine, or can Joel have an X-ray? So it's not, as a payer, we don't try to solve for the provider side. The providers are very good. They're very much on the cutting edge, but we do also have to recognize that those costs, as you point out in the statistics we talk about, they are staggering. And until we get some degree of control over those, then obviously the cost of health insurance follows. But I do think it is providing and finding that right level of care and engagement for the individual, focusing on the total care, so that, for example, if Joel gets the text and it says, hey, Joel, go to your wellness visit, and I show up and we catch something early, the cost of care to treat me is going to be significantly less than if I were not engaged. I let something sit for 2 or 3 years and then unfortunately became chronic or substantially beyond what it was. So it's a big question. There's a lot to it, and I wish I had an easy answer for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joel. You did a fine job pinch hitting. You didn't need to apologize for that. We were glad to have you here. There's certainly no topic that speaks more unanimously to everyone in the room than healthcare, and we appreciate your reflections on this. Joel has signed the book plate in the book Fly High, John Glenn by Kathleen Kroll, and that will be donated to the Lincoln Charter School along with a bookmark created by students at Creative York. Next week is the changing of the guard. as we wrap up our Rotary year. I will take a few minutes next week to reflect on the year that is behind us now, and we will also install our new president, Aaron Jacobs, as he begins his year with you, and he will present his vision for that year. The closing quote for today: I cannot even imagine where I would be today if not for that handful of friends who have given me a heart full of joy. Let's face it, friends make a life a lot more fun. Rotary friends, go out and make somebody's heart full of joy today. This meeting stands adjourned.